Hello there. This is Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan, helping you to take a stand and put an end to all the drama. Just think of me as your second mama. Hi. Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan is my life story. Today is episode 25. And we are continuing to discuss the myths of domestic abuse. Many people believe that if there are no bruises, no black eyes, no broken bones, then it's not abuse. But that's a myth. That is not true, and it is very dangerous. Domestic abuse is about power, control, and domination. Physical violence is only one form of abuse. There are many other ways of abuse that can be just as damaging as physical violence, if not worse. And today, I am going to give you an example. But before we get into today's episode, I want you to make sure that you subscribe, that you like, and that you share and comment. Hit that notification button, that bell, so that you never miss a video. Won't you do that for me? Thank you. Now, let's get started. This is episode 25, and I am calling it The Day I Lost My Mind in the Pastor's Study. I will never forget that summer day in June 2000, not as long as I ever live. I had been called to the pastor's study by his administrative assistant. And I went in for what I thought was going to be a happy news and some good news because things were going so well at the church. But it turned out that he had something different on his mind. And he said to me as I entered the study, he turned to me, looked me straight in my eyes, and he said words that not only took my breath away, but those words would impact me negatively for the rest of my life. My pastor husband turned to me and said, "I don't love you anymore. Our marriage is over, and I'm getting a divorce." Just like that. He was cold, and matter of fact, he said those words to me as if he were ordering a pastrami sandwich or a pepperoni pizza at a carry-out restaurant. But his words shook me so badly until I could hardly believe my ears. So I said, "What? What did you say?" And he boldly repeated it. He said, "I said, I don't love you anymore. Our marriage is over, and I'm getting a divorce. Do you understand now?" Oh my God. My heart stopped beating for a moment, and I felt like I was about to pass out, to go unconscious. The sting of those toxic words were enough to push me over the edge. To myself, this can't really be happening. I must be dreaming. This can't be real. This must be a terrible nightmare. But I wasn't dreaming. And those words were true. Over and over in my mind, I kept hearing, I don't love you anymore. Our marriage is over and I'm getting a divorce. I don't love you anymore. Our marriage is over and I'm getting a divorce. And then the man that I had been married to for 22 years turned from me, walked over to where his coat and hat had been hanging on a rack in his study and office. He took his suit jacket and his hat from the rack, took them down, went in to his secretary's office and said, if anyone calls for me, tell them I'm at home. I'm leaving for today. Then he turned, left his office study, walked down the hall from the church, and left with his chauffeur who drove him home. There I was, still standing in the middle of the floor in the pastor's study, frozen in time, struggling with the brokenness of my life, broken by the trauma and the drama of those devastating words. I don't love you anymore. Marriage is over and I'm getting a divorce. The post-traumatic stress, the shock of those words, those toxic words, began to push me over the edge. I began talking to myself like a demented fool. Not just talking, but I began answering myself as well. It was as if two people were trapped inside of my one body. One that was saying the same me, and then the broken me. And I began talking to myself and answering myself. And I said, Jan, I said to myself, what just happened? Why are you so shocked, girl? Didn't you see the clues? And then I answered myself. I said, well, maybe I did see the clues. What were they, Jan? Talk to me. Well, I said to myself, he had grown distant, cold, and uncaring over the last few months. It was as if his heart had moved somewhere else. How did that make you feel, Jan? I said to myself. It made me feel like I was living with a stranger. He was short-tempered with me, and sometimes he was just plain mean. What else, Jan? I said. Well, there were times when he would embarrass me right in front of the church staff. But then he would quickly apologize just to save face, to protect his image. But what about at home, Jan? Oh, at home, it was a battlefield. Well, did you call him out on his behavior, Jan? Yes, I did. And what did he do? He would twist my words and tell me that I was too sensitive. But every sarcastic remark that he made was meant to hurt me on purpose, to destroy me. When did you first see this change in him, Jan? Wasn't it after you helped him get his doctorate degree? Mm, yes, that's when everything changed. It was as if he had achieved his purpose with me, and now he didn't need me anymore. Oh, I remember those long nights we spent together, reading his textbooks aloud, editing his papers, and recording his lessons, because nothing was available at the seminary in Braille. You know, he and his seminary professors had asked me to be his eyes and to work with him so that they didn't have to do all the extra work that came along with a visually challenged seminary student. Well, did you do it, Jan? Of course I did. I loved him. After all, he was my husband and my pastor, and I was his wife and his first lady. We were a team. At least I thought we were. So, Jan, he got his degree, and you got yours too, right, Jan? No, I said softly. He didn't want me to get mine. What do you mean, Jan? He said that I didn't need a degree because I was just the first lady. But Jan, did you go along with that? Yes. Why? Because he controlled everything. But you have your doctorate degree now, don't you, Jan? Yes, I have it now. I have it because I went back to school 20 years later and earned my doctorate degree. I remembered something my dad had always said to me when I was growing up. He would say, "Get that piece of paper, daughter. That's the only thing they can't take away from you." There I was, standing, sitting, talking to myself and answering myself. And I said to myself, "Oh my God, I'm talking and answering myself." The post traumatic shock of those toxic words began to show slowly but surely push me over the edge. I was going crazy. The pain that I was feeling was indescribable. I can't put into words. It was worse than physical violence. And so I want to deal with this myth about domestic abuse. The myth that says if it's not domestic abuse if there's no physical violence involved. That myth is not true. And it must be challenged and it must be changed. Emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse are far worse than physical violence. No, because I spent nearly 20 years in a physical violent marriage with husband number one. It was bad. But the 22 years I spent in verbal abuse, psychological and emotional abuse with husband number two were far, far worse. Physical violence may leave visible scars on your physical body, but eventually those scars from physical violence will heal and fade. But verbal abuse? Verbal abuse will scar your heart, your mind, and your soul because words are far worse than physical abuse. It's said that death and life are in the power of the tongue. Words should heal, but words can kill. That's why we say abuse does not have to be physical to be real. Here I was in the pastor's study, and I was about to go under. I was going down through the count, but I was not down for good, for God is good. Because the Lord was with me, the Lord was with Jan, even there in the madness in the pastor's study, even there in the pain, the Lord was with me. Yes, he was. And he began to heal me. No, it was not automatic, and it was not immediately. But because God, the Lord was with Jan, I began to change after that day. People who knew me thought I was going to remain in domestic abuse for the rest of my life, but they were wrong. I did change. Yes, I did. It took time. But God did things for me that helped me to change. I started changing my way of thinking, and I became transformed. Transformed by the renewing of my mind. And you know what? I became victorious. Yes, I did. Because you can't keep a good woman down. And God showed me exactly what to do. And today I am victorious, not a victim. Today, I am a victorious survivor and overcomer of domestic abuse, not just once, but twice. It is possible to recover. It is possible to rise again from the trauma and the drama of domestic abuse. I recovered victoriously, and so can you. You know, no matter how long you have been in it, no matter how deep the pain has been, you can change because there is nothing too hard for God. All things are possible with Him. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You can be transformed. Yes, you can. By the renewing of your mind, you can get up and you can walk in victory. I know you can, because that's exactly what happened to me. I went through domestic abuse, the verbal abuse, for over 22 years, and I never told a living soul. I suffered in silence behind that smiling mask of a first lady. Because domestic abuse is a dark and silent culture. I was silent for decades. Yes, I was. But then I began to change. I began to think differently, and I began to learn how to live again. I discovered who I was, not who they said I was. And today I am 86 years young. Yes, born in 1939. I'm just 4 years away from 90. And I'm still walking in victory. Now my purpose is to help you walk victoriously too. You know, it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. It doesn't matter where you fell or who you fell with. What matters is that you get up and you get a life for yourself. You have a story. It's time for you to walk in victory. And it's never too late to begin again. And so, if my story has resonated with you, If my testimony has made you think, if it has made you feel or made you see yourself differently, then this is your moment. I want you to subscribe to my channel, Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Like this episode and share it with someone who needs to know this, that healing is possible, that recovery is real, and that life after trauma is waiting for you. Please visit my website. It is www.jnbministries.org. I have written a book entitled Testimony of a Kept Woman, From Misery to Ministry Instead of the State Penitentiary. It's a memoir. It's an ebook. It tells my story. And in this book, I share my full journey, all 42 years, almost 20 years with husband number one, and 22 years with husband number two. It's raw, it's real, and it's redeemable. It's redemption. So you can get a copy of my book by going to my website, www.jnvministries.org. Also, I want you to explore my online curriculum. It's called 7 Power Keys. In my online curriculum, I tell you exactly how I healed and recovered from the trauma and drama of domestic abuse. And in those 7 power keys, God showed me what to do, and I will show you too. Get my 7 power keys, how to heal and recover from the trauma and drama of domestic abuse. Visit my website, www.jnbministries.org. And also, don't forget to like my 2 channels. This channel, Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan, and my second channel, Salt Bible Study with Dr. Jan. Subscribe, like, and share this channel, Life After Trauma with Dr. Jan, and continue to follow me. I have lots to share. I upload a video every week. Join me the next time as I share more of my story. So until the next time, have hope, because there is life after trauma. Dr. Jan. God bless. Peace.